welcome to Sisterhood with me, Shaili Chopra, the one show where we confront our challenges, confess our insecurities, and together figure out what to do about them. My focus today is to bring on a guest who's really inspirational, has had quite a struggle like all of us, and at the same time reminds us that no dream is too big. Prachi, thanks very much for joining us. It's a pleasure having you here with us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. My pleasure as well. Lovely to be here.
Let's start by asking you what we always ask everyone. If you were to pick a few challenges and insecurities that you faced growing up to your career, what were those? Which ones would you pick?
Up to my career, I believe my journey has been quite fun, I would say. Challenges didn't come my way, but I love challenges, and that's how I was brought up by my mom, by actually all of my family. So I love taking up a lot of challenges, and luckily life was good to me. However, with all the sports that I played and every single thing, especially with the family, and you know how nuclear families get, they don't get time. We never got time with our parents. So managing life with the family and my sports and my studies, all of that was, I would say, tedious. Tedious is the correct word, because my schedule was wake up, train for your swimming in the morning, go to school, and then come back home, do your extracurriculars, prepare, study, etc., etc. In the midst of all of that came my dream of, wanting to become a pilot, and that was actually inspirational because of my mom being a pilot, and all the challenges actually came from her, and even the solutions to that. So I have my
Tell me more about your mom being a pilot and you wanting to be a pilot. Like, how did this entire piece play out together? Like, at what stage did she become a pilot? When did you start getting that inspiration?
So my mother was in the second batch of Air Force helicopter pilots. She was in the Short Service Commission with Indian Air Force. And she was one among the very few, actually one among the only 3 pilots who were selected via NCC to be in the Air Force. So she really worked her way up all the way to get into the Air Force. Back in the 1994, 95, those years, they were very tough for women. And we didn't have flying as a career for women in the Air Force. It was there for the, carrier jets and whatever cargo jets that we have in the Air Force, but not for fighters. However, she got lucky. She got into helicopters, and my dream was originally to go in the fighter jets. However, I was just 1 year late, because just after I got my CPL and I started my training and I was already halfway there, that's when Indian Air Force actually opened up fighter jets. Yeah. So I missed it by this much. And then my age didn't allow me. So that is one dream which is left undone. But it definitely did start off with my mom being my inspiration, definitely.
That's brilliant. So, I wanted to ask you, for all the young girls out there who want to be a pilot, today the options are at least on the table. I mean, India has the largest population, percentage-wise, of female pilots in the world. These are numbers that should give us goosebumps with happiness. Very different from, the time that you're talking about. And I'm an Air Force officer's daughter who's a fighter pilot himself. So I totally resonate with what I saw on the, Air Force camps. But it takes a lot when you're trying to, even now in our world, to want to be a pilot, whether you're a commercial pilot or otherwise. And then there is an environment that constantly says, but life of a pilot is tough. And what about partners? And what will be your life like in terms of family? How did you navigate those conversations?
It was pretty simple. I knew what I wanted and I went behind it. It was never even a question in my head that, how am I going to navigate or how am I going to manage my time or family and all of that. Because I had seen, again, I grew up seeing my mom being the, boss lady that she is. So for me particularly, it came easy because I had a role model. It's a saying, it's a very famous saying that you can't learn what you don't see, right? So for me, it was very easy to learn what I saw at home with my mom being there. And that being said, along with all of the hardships and the strong lady that she was, she made me to, pursue whatever I would say interest that I had. Like, she is actually waterphobic, but I loved swimming, and she made sure that I reached national levels. I even got selected for the Commonwealth, which was held in India. And however, life had different plans. I had a disease and I could not attend to that Commonwealth competition, and I had to give up swimming. Otherwise, I would have probably been a swimmer as of now, if not a pilot.
So you said that there were these situations that came in the way. Now again, this happens to all of us in life. What was it that made you say that I'm going to keep going? Because we as people, it's easy to fall down, right? And it's sometimes very, very hard to lift ourselves up. Tell me about that moment when you saw many of the dreams that were getting closer were then pulled away.
Yeah. So I think every time that happened, I kept a very simple outlook towards life. To be very honest, I'll speak this out very honestly, but I knew there is something positive behind whatever plan is being laid out for me, right? So even when my swimming goal got crushed, and even when I couldn't go for the Commonwealth, my health deteriorated. And even before wanting to be a pilot, I knew I wanted to be a fighter pilot, and Air Force did not allow girls to go there. Every time my morals were pulled down, I told myself that there has to be something positive behind this. There has to be a reason for it. And I guess that somewhere included with spirituality in my own self took me way up and took me out of that particular situation. That was definitely there. Plus, I am a person who likes to keep herself busy in a lot of things. So I believe being busy, keeping yourself occupied in things that you love, not just one particular thing, but like multiple hobbies, that always helps. And anyone, be
Yeah.
it you, me, even a 10-year-old kid, I think it helps anyone, and that's what takes you ahead in life.
So did I read this accurately that there's a baby on the way?
Oh yes, oh yes, I am expecting right now. I'm actually in my 8th month right now, so baby is
Oh,
expected.
congratulations.
Thank you
How
so
is
much.
that going? Let's talk about health. Of course, one of the things is that at least you're breaking the taboo in many ways, given how many people look at pregnancy as the first milestone in life. In our conversation, we've spoken about 4 of them already that have happened to you. So that's great. Talk to us about this tendency of everyone to look at babyhood as such a mega milestone versus all the other things that we all want.
So that's actually it's actually a good question, because it's also new to me. I mean, I always thought I can handle any emotion and every emotion how it comes, but this particular emotion, it's just so brand new. It's so emotional in a way, and at the same time I'm so restless. Like, I want to do so much with the baby. I can't wait for the baby to be here. I already planned my next Ironman race along with the baby. So I've been, touch wood, very active all throughout my pregnancy. And the only little hurdle I had in my pregnancy, not little, it was pretty big though. I lost my sibling. I lost my younger brother just about a month back. So that is one struggle that I had, still coming out of it. Other than that, the baby has got me really excited and looking forward to life. Actually, it's more of an inspiration to me that I want to be more, I want to do more now that I'm going to be a mother and not just a pilot or Prachi Goswami or a swimmer or someone like that. A mother is like topping it all.
Yeah. Well, I know we have moments in life that pull us back and those that will help propel it
Yeah.
ahead. Sorry to hear about your loss. You said something here which was really meaningful, that you're new to this. Women's health in India is considered something that we always give a backseat to. We don't pay enough attention to that. Tell us a little bit about why women need to prioritize themselves. I, for one, perhaps paid far more attention to myself for the first time at 35 when I had my first child. How bizarre, right? At 35.
Yeah.
So one heads to the doctor and checks our preventative needs so late. Tell us a little bit, pump up some of the women who just are lazy like me or were lazy like me.
Okay, so to be really honest here, I would love to talk on this because there's such a taboo about even in my family as well. They have been pretty supportive, but when it comes to being protective, not just family, even like people around, they keep telling you. I remember when I was still in my initial months of pregnancy, I remember people coming up to me and telling me, why are you driving? You probably shouldn't drive, you're pregnant now. And that made absolutely no sense to me. Little things like that and little taboos like that. A girl probably shouldn't move, a girl needs to be really careful, and all of those things. It's just so wrong to put female in such a fragile place. The female is already undergoing a lot of hormonal changes, and all of this stigma that's created, and I believe it is a little tad bit more in our country as compared to other countries, because whatever forums that I read, whatever magazines that I read, it's not as much outside as it is here. So I think this is one place where definitely awareness needs to be spread, that females can live on, continue living on their life, and they can continue doing things they like, even when they have a kid, even after they have a kid, and especially during their expecting times and months, because it's very, very important for mental health when you're pregnant. It's a real thing. I've dealt with it. I'm telling you, it is tough, and I'm sure you have also gone through it. I'm sure other girls watching this, they have also felt all of that. It is not easy. It is definitely a rebirth. These feelings are new, and if we listen to little titty bitty things which people tell us, don't drive, or don't work on your fitness, or don't go to the gym, don't pick up weights, all of those things, yes, definitely, if medically you have an issue, follow your doctor. But if you don't, then don't restrict yourself if something makes you feel better. And I think that's the one thing that kept me going, being fit, being active, and continuing to do things that I liked, that made me mentally sane and reminded me who I am during my pregnancy.
So there's an element of what you said which is so powerful, because it reflects on how every woman has different issues. The solutions to many of women's own issues are very different from each other. What's most important is that our current medical and fitness system is so geared up towards men that they don't even cater towards men's needs, right? So talk to us about that. I mean, somebody who's been so fit and continues to be so as she enters the last leg of her pregnancy.
Yeah, so I do believe, first of all, maternity and paternity also, for that matter, it's a good point that you mentioned. Maternity and paternity are not seen as two same platforms as of now, and I might be wrong. This thing is definitely changing, but from what I experienced and where I come from, the conversations I have had, there's definitely still a little bit of gap between the two. In terms of fitness, yes, fathers these days, and awareness is there where everyone is understanding how to go hand in hand when your wife is expecting, but as a whole, paternity also needs to be pulled up as much as maternity does, right? People somewhere don't consider fathers to be as important as a role during the pregnancy of a female, and which is where, again, I would say really small things like companies giving you paternity leaves, or companies asking you to go on leave without pay. Companies don't even give you a sanctioned leave, even if you're willing not to take the salary for a particular while if your wife is pregnant. And this is not from my experience only, from other experiences as well, because they just don't consider it important enough. And I think that really needs attention, along with which females these days do have awareness in terms of how active they need to be. But there are still taboos. Don't bend down, and it's just a lot of little things that I have actually continued to do. I actually did run also in my pregnancy. I'm actually, in fact, going for a swim in the evening. So I've done everything that I used to do, and it works fine for me. I'm sure other females out there who are expecting, if they try, it should be fine as well. Like, give it a try. Don't be scared of it. Don't be scared that your baby's going somewhere else.
So my first question to you is that what is the one single stereotype, some statement that was said to you just because you were a woman?
Something that was said to me a lot. Don't cut your hair short. Like when I chopped my hair off, it was a lot shorter than this. And it was very recent after I got my job and everything as well. People were like, "ये तो लड़कों का hairstyle है, ये मत करो." So that was that.
It's hilarious because I used to have really short hair, much shorter than yours, and I heard the same thing all the time, right? One advice to your younger self.
One advice to my younger self, I would say, prepare to be a lot more emotionally stronger, I believe. So life is tough, so be a little stronger.
Why is therapy a good word?
Say again, why is
therapy a good word?
Therapy, because therapy comes in small things like driving to your favorite song, eating your favorite meal. That's why.
Why should a women's health not be a taboo?
Because women and men, we're equal. We're equals. We are humans. If men's health is not a taboo and if it's promoted, then why not women?
Right. What is your favorite book and why?
So there's this book that I've been reading recently, which is regarding pregnancy and the relationship between a mother and a son. It's not really a book, it's more of a documentary of sorts with multiple instances. So I like that, but that's very temporary because of the place I'm in. Other than that, I'm not really into a lot of books. I've just started reading.
Super. What is your one motto in life?
Say again?
Motto in life.
One motto in life is definitely to not forget that we have come here to live and not just work and slog ourselves. That is something I tell myself every single day.
Every time you get onto the plane, what are you thinking?
Oh, that I couldn't be in a better place. I can't tell you how beautiful it is up there, how confident you feel in yourself, and how fulfilled your life is in the sky.
For all those women who have the fear of following the dreams, what would you say?
Don't really be scared. Don't think too much. Just go for it and keep manifesting. Keep thinking about it. Work towards it. Ask for everything you want openly, and just go. Just go there. Don't think. Don't overthink it.
Nice. Anything I should have asked you, or a story, or what is the most inspiring thing that you have from your mum? What's your favorite mum thing? So
my favorite mum thing is that she's a tiger in real sense. Like she has been tough throughout, and she inspires me to be 100% of everything that I am, that I could be. And I think that's the one thing that's impossible to get from anyone else.
Super. Thanks, Prachi. I think that was good.